Throughout my career in assisting my clients in obtaining hundreds of loan approvals, we've been able to overturn automated denials and increase credit limits instantly. So I've created a script showing some examples of how I've overturned denials in the past. In this section, you'll learn to understand the approval process and what lenders look for when they're considering overturning denials. Also, what happens if you've been automatically approved, but you're not satisfied with your credit limit? I'm going to teach you how to increase that limit regardless of their decision. Remember, before applying for any loans, banks make their decisions based upon two main factors. Number one is the strength of credit. Number two is your debt to income ratio, which is also known as DTI. So a DTI ratio is your income versus your debt. So for an example, if you make $10,000 a month in income and you have $4,000 in monthly credit obligations, you're at a 40% DTI. You want to stay below the 40% ratio. This percentage is the most common ratio the bankers look for. A low DTI shows the capacity to take on more debt. So after you apply for your loan or your credit card, one of three things will typically happen. Number one is an automated approval, two, a pending status, three, an automated denial. If you're in a pending status, you should contact the lender to inquire about the reason for the pending status and determine if there's any additional information needed. To give you a few examples, they may want you to verify your ID, or if you have some type of red flags on the application or your credit profile. Another very common reason is you have a fraud alert on your credit report and it has caused them to pause to clear that condition before moving forward. So usually when the status is pending, it's because they're reviewing the file and they may need some additional information. By being proactive and calling the lender, you can get to the bottom of what's needed and expedite a decision. Regardless of the status, it's always a good idea to call in and speak with the banker, because until you've spoken with somebody, you're just another number in the system. When it comes to denials, the majority of them are systems generated. Therefore, speaking to a live person allows us to influence and overturn a denial. Be persistent and have a great story for why they should reconsider. You want to anchor an emotional story for why you need the money. If you have any discrepancies on your credit report, like lates or collections, make sure you have a solid story that explains your situation in a positive light. If the application is for a personal loan for a startup, then let them know that submission is for business purposes. Banks like to mitigate risk and work with growing companies. Always mention that if you're growing too quickly, explain the reason why you're seeking a loan to help assure the underwriters they are making a good decision by approving you. Here are some examples of some talking points while you're speaking to a bank. Before I go into this section about key points of overturning denials, I want to explain some of the fundamentals. When you speak to a banker, you naturally want to build rapport. Ask them about their day, make them laugh. People like themselves, and by establishing a friendship, might have a little bit of an influence of overturning the denial and or increasing the credit limits. So some of the key points when you're speaking to the bank. Point number one, I'm not sure why you denied me. I have an outstanding growing business and my credit is great. Here you want to have a little ego. And not ego saying that you are better than them, but for overturning a denial, you want to reassure the banker that, look, you have a growing business, my credit is great. There may have been one or two items, but I am a safe bet. So provide that information and convince them that you are that person that is going to grow and you're going to make millions of dollars, and that's the reason why you need to overturn and provide this approval. Next we have, I've been researching other banks and I chose you because of the banking reputation. So here you want to flip the script. You want to say, look, I'm choosing you, you're not choosing me. Providing the script allows you to explain that, look, you're lucky for me to be applying because my company or my financial strength, I'm growing dramatically and banks want to be attached to people who are going to be a big shot. So flip the script, add some additional features and benefits, and provide that reason why they need to overturn this denial. Our revenue's been increasing by over 30% every year, and I need capital to sustain my growth. We've been increasing our cash flow due to our accounts receivables. We did over $600,000 last year, and we're projected to do over $800,000. A little bit of a psychology. Banks want to lend to people who don't need money, or you're needing money because you're growing too fast and you need to sustain your current clients, and without this capital, you're going to be stunt of your growth. So this is more of a safe bet versus, hey banker, I need some money because I can't make payroll. Do you think that psychology is going to convince a banker to give you more money so they can save you, or they can be there to help you grow? So understand this concept may be able to overturn that denial and actually increase your scores and limits further. If you can't approve me for the full amount I requested, is it possible to start off the relationship with a different amount then grow into a larger line later? So for an example, if you requested a $20,000 amount or 50, 100, whatever the number is, and they denied you, talk to the banker and ask them to reduce that loan amount request. Maybe they'll accept a lower amount, have you start off the relationship, provide a good credit history, payment history, etc. And within time, they'll be able to increase the line later. So instead of a full denial with a no, have them reduce it. Start off slow and start grow. If a bank still comes back with a negative response, there's some things you can do to overturn it. You can say something like, I appreciate you taking the time. However, do you mind if I speak to a manager? I want you to be persistent and take this up to the food chain as much as possible. So once the manager answers, you can repeat your talking points and your story. So sell yourself, sell the story, the why, and provide that information, that empathy, so they can overturn it. A lot of times a manager has additional power versus a regular banker. So keep on being persistent, and that may actually work into your benefit. So congratulations, you've been approved. Do you settle for what they give you, or do you ask for more? If it was me, I would like to shoot for the stars. So it doesn't matter what the dollar amount is that they provided you, you always ask for more. So because the majority of these approvals are system generated, if you speak to somebody at the bank, you want to be able to provide some of the key values in the other slides and repeat them. A lot of these are universal. However, just go through some of these talking points and you may be able to increase your limits either 5 to 20, 30%, sometimes even as high as 50%. You shoot for the stars. So here are some key talking points on what to say going through different scenarios. First one I will discuss is, what if you got an approval and you want to increase it? They may want to ask you to wait 3 to 6 months in order for them to increase. Well, proceed with your story, have that emotional why they should increase it, and provide them the features and benefits and persuade them to increase it now. If they're still sticking with their story, increase it to the manager and their manager, and pretty soon you can go to the CEO and hopefully he'll be able to overturn and give you a higher limit. Next states something like, I'm not sure why you limited me on this approval. I have an outstanding growing business and my credit is great. Again, I don't care if it's $100,000, $200,000, or $1 million approval, always call them back and ask for more. So if you're satisfied with the current limits, hey, ask them to increase another 5%, 10%, 20%. It doesn't hurt. You always want to stretch the limits. And they say that an offer is one that you're embarrassed to say. So if they're giving you an amount, hey, ask for a little more. Until it's a hard no, you know you can push the limits. I've been researching other banks and I chose you because of the banking reputation. So here you want to flip the script again, very similar to the last couple slides, but in a different context. Provide the reasons of why they should increase it. Let them know, look, I have other options. There's 1,000 different other banks in the industry and I chose you. So if you don't provide me what I need, I'm just going to cancel and go to a different bank. What you're providing me isn't enough for me to do what I need to do. So do you see the difference here? You're flipping the script and provide them the reasons why they need to increase that. Our revenue has been increasing by over 30% and any additional capital to sustain our growth. We've been increasing our cash flow due to our accounts receivables. So for an example, we did $600,000 last year and we're projected to do over $800,000 this year. Very similar to the list statement from the last few slides. Again, it's always about growing, not about saving my company. So projecting that you're going to be a multi-million dollar company and you need this capital to help sustain your growth is always a great context of why you need money. So if you can't approve me for the full amount requested, is it possible to increase another 5, 10, 20%? I need additional money for factoring my receivables. So guys, there's a commonality between all of these different phrases. So the glass is half full, it's not half empty. Banks like to lend to people who don't need money, and by demonstrating that you're such a safe bet that you don't have the chance of losing, this will help you with increasing your limits. Be persistent. Don't give up. Go up the food chain. And I promise you that you will see success in increasing your credit strength and getting you that much closer to an 800 credit score.